Hello and welcome to Strip Down Sunday. My name is Reverend Ryan Pulley, and we are the Soul Evolution Collaborative. And we're here to unchurch your Sunday experience and hopefully have a little fun in the process. So we're thrilled to have this time with you and to offer some inspiration, some spiritual upliftment, and hopefully a unique take on spiritual principles in our own unique Soul Evolution Collaborative way. And so we've kind of stripped down this Sunday experience to offer you kind of a streamlined process that hopefully meets your need in this moment. So we have a strong desire to bring an updated message of inspiration to the world at a time where I think we all agree that we need it the most. And so we are here, Soul Evolution Collaborative, dedicated not only to personal transformation, but to communal evolution, knowing that the combination of these two is that sweet spot that can really facilitate change in our world. So two really quick logistic things before we get started today. Everything you want to know about Soul Evolution Collaborative, you can find on our website, which is soulevolutioncollaborative.org. Feel free to pop on over there and explore all the fun events that are going on and everything that we have to offer and ways that you can get involved in this evolving spiritual community. It is communities with missions like ours that bring change to the world. And so we are actively creating a new earth and ways that benefit everyone. And so if you're in any way able to join us in this journey financially, please feel free to go over to soulevolutioncollaborative.org and click on the donate button. All gifts are greatly appreciated, and we appreciate you partnering with us in the mission of Soul Evolution Collaborative. So today's topic is say yes to the yes. So what I want to talk about a little bit is my own evolution of the yes. And so I guess if I had a tagline of say yes to the yes, it would be my own evolution to the of the yes. And so I hate to admit, but I really have a master's degree in the yes. And what I mean by this is I have spent a good portion of my life, probably more than I would like to admit, just saying yes to everything, whether it was something that resonated with me or not, whether it was something that I had the energy to do or not, just saying yes to everything. And I think I'm probably not the only one that was conditioned to do this. And so when we talk about saying yes to the yes, it is not the yes that comes from this idea of hustling for our worth. And I think for me, for the longest time, I said yes because I was seeking external approval, because I was thinking if I don't say yes to this, then someone may not ask me to do something again. Just hustling for my worth. Finding value in the things that I was doing and the things that I was accomplishing, finding my own internal value in those things. And let me tell you, you know what ends up at the end of all those yeses? Exhaustion. And it's not that kind of exhaustion like when you've run a marathon and you just feel so vibrant and amazed at your accomplishments and you just feel this kind of like really wonderful, beautiful feeling of exhaustion. No, this is like, oh my, I can't do one more thing. I can't be one more thing to one more person. And so when we're talking about saying yes to the yes, we're not talking about that yes. We're not talking about this yes that is this hustling for our worth, that it's saying yes when we really need to say no, when it's saying yes when we really need to take care of ourselves. It's not saying yes because we're afraid we're not going to be asked to do something again. It's not saying yes to fill our calendar with as much as we can and as much to-do list as we can check off. That's not the yes that we're talking about. And so for me, over the past few years, I've really explored this idea of the yes and what it means. So every year I pick a word for the year. And so I spend some time in meditation and reflection. It's like, what is my word for the year going to be? So what is it that I want to show up as this year? And so last year it showed up. The word came to me was yes. And so for me, I was like, Well, I'm already saying yes a lot. I don't have no idea what that means. That, of course, I'll be saying yes. But instead, what came to the surface was this new understanding of yes. It was this yes that comes from a place of balance. It's a yes that comes from this place of knowing the truth of who I am. And so this yes was spoke to me like this yes to um, a response to my passions, yes to in response to the things that my talents and my gifts, and yes in stepping into new ways that I want to show up in the world. So instead, it wasn't this exhausting yes, but instead it was this yes of possibilities. It was this yes to expansion, this yes to an understanding of who I am. And from that space, I could reach out in all these areas that can bring my true self to the forefront. So you see the difference between this yes of exhaustion and yes as a hustling for my worth, and this yes from the knowledge that I already know my worth. Now, this is not a one and done thing. This is not like I have come to this realization and I make this choice in everything I do. Of course not. Of course, it's a process. Of course, it's a daily remembering, a daily reminder of the power of that yes. And knowing that it's okay to say no. And this awareness that when we say no from a space that this is not mine to do, or this is not something that serves me in this moment, or this is not something that is in alignment with my higher self, when we say no, that we are saying yes. We're saying yes to the truth. We're saying yes to who we are. We're saying yes to the understanding of our own worth and the value of taking care of ourselves. And so when we do that, when we are able to discern that full body yes or that holy no, as we talk about sometimes, then we are able to step out in ways that are authentic. We are able to step out in ways that are empathetic. We are able to step out in ways that are oozing with compassion because our yeses are in alignment with who we are. So we're not saying yes when we really want to say no, and then having resentments and bitterness and exhaustion kind of build up in us and to steal our power. But instead, we are stepping powerfully in what is ours to do. And this yes is this type of yes. If you can feel the energy of this type of yes, is one of excitement. It's one of creativity. And actually, it's like the birthplace of creativity. Gary Zukav says that choosing is the action of creation. The most important choice you make are the choices about how you see yourself, the universe, and the relationship to the universe. So this yes from this space of understanding is this choosing. This is choosing to be in alignment with who I am. And this choosing is the birthplace of creativity. And that's what we're talking about this month, creativity. This idea that we are creative beings, that we are the individualized expressions of spirit, created in everything we do. And so this understanding leads us to our ability to use yes in a powerful way, not yes in a way to get external validation or yes in a way that we're questioning our own worth, but yes in a way that we know who we are and we're stepping out into that truth. And so this yes is just clothed in authenticity. And we talk about authenticity a lot at Soul Evolution Collaborative. And I think that for us, it's this new way of being. Maybe it's a different way of being that we were conditioned or grew up as. It's definitely a different way of being, I think, that so oftentimes we're socialized with. But it's showing up authentically, and saying yes to the yes is one of the first steps to do that. It's understanding who we are, understanding our gifts, our values, understanding our worth, our intrinsic worth, our worth that is not based on anything outside of us, anything that we do or say, or who we are, or how we show up in the world. It is our worth just by the nature of being. And so when we can begin to rest in this awareness and remind ourselves of this, then we are able to step out authentically, because our stepping out and our choosing and our saying yes to this or no to this is not from a space of trying to navigate our worth, but instead it is from the space of our worth. And so saying yes to the yes is stepping out in vulnerability. It's stepping out in authenticity. It's stepping out in creativity. And it's stepping out from this space of awareness. And it's being able to say yes to things that stir passion in us, stir love in us, stir creativity in us. And it's in that we're able to show up as who we are supposed to show up in this world, our own unique iteration of that. I have mine, you have yours. And so I think this desire for creativity, this desire for authenticity, this desire for self-expression is inherent in the blueprint of who we are. And Ernest Holmes speaks to this in his book, This Thing Called You, when he says, your desire for self-expression is inherent in the divine pattern itself. It is because you intuitively feel this pattern that you grow back towards it. Learn and trust the intuition within you, which causes you to sense the pattern. And I think it's that yearning, it's that divine pattern, that intuitively feeling that often reveals itself to us. So when we say yes to things that maybe aren't ours to do, when we say yes to things from a space of imbalance, or say yes to things from a space of striving for our worth, it's really going against the grain of our natural way of being. So our natural state is this unencumbered self-expression, this pure self-expression, this divine flow of our passions and our talents and our gifts. And when we say yes in places where that's not in alignment, we can really feel that butting up against energy. And that energy creates frustration, that energy creates exhaustion, that energy creates this constricted feeling of not being who we are, or not showing up in ways we like to show up, or not showing up in ways that our hearts and our souls and our minds and our spirits are yearning to show up. And so I think that's often when we feel so tired, so exhausted, so weary sometimes. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I feel weary at the end of the day, and I have to look back and reflect on what has happened over the course of that day. And often I have not taken care of myself. Often I have agreed to things that I have no space or time for, or I've agreed to things or said yes to things or ways of being that are just not in alignment with myself. And so all day I've been squished. And man, that's exhausting to feel squished. And so we are born for expansion. We are born for growth. We're born for evolution. And so sometimes when we get to the end of the day, maybe it would be a really cool thing to look back and see where we have shown up authentically and where maybe we haven't, and maybe have compromised a little bit of our authenticity, and set intentions in those areas. Not in a space of beating ourselves up, but in a space of awareness of, I said yes to that, but that's really not in alignment with how I want to show up. And so then it creates this power to really be the creative beings that we are, to really show up in our creativity and really create a life that is in alignment with who we are. You know, and sometimes when we talk about saying yes, sometimes we have to say yes in the face of fear and uncertainty. And we know that that's there. And sometimes for me, I can only speak for me, that I have these default ways of seeing myself, these limiting beliefs, this kind of box of how things should be, or these attachments to certain outcomes, or this is the only way it can be. And so sometimes we have to say yes in the face of uncertainty. Sometimes we have to say yes when we feel this fear of, not enough, or, oh, what if I step out and say yes in this way and I really bungle it and make a fool of myself? Or what if I, say yes to this project that's really passionate and I really have a desire to see brought forth? And what if I'm not good at it? And so sometimes we are called to say yes in the face of these things. And that can be challenging sometimes, but knowing that this yes is in alignment with who we are, still in the face of fear and uncertainty, really, when we can step out in ways like that, we can step out despite fear and uncertainty, it really opens this door of possibility. It really busts open wide this door of creativity. And then that's where the real magic happens. That's where the real power happens. And that's kind of this cascading effect of that sort of yes, because it opens one door and then another door and then another door. And then soon we are so much more expanded in our awareness, we look back and think, oh man, how could I have ever been satisfied in that box? And so you can feel the energy of that yes. This is energy giving yes, not an energy sucking yes. And sometimes those yeses are in the face of uncertainty, in the faces of, I have no idea what's going to happen, but I know who I am, and I know that this is mine to do, and stepping out in that space anyway. And so this is from this inner awareness. And so when we become more and more acquainted with this space, then our yes becomes transformative. And how we become acquainted with that own space within us is as unique as we are. For some of us, it is certain spiritual practices, contemplative meditation, or walking meditation, or exercise, or being in nature, or conversation with friends, or the loving, supportive container of community. And so the invitation is to become more acquainted with that space, more acquainted with that space within us that reveals the truth of us. And the more that we become acquainted with that space, the more we can step out in our powerful yes from that space. And when we do that, when we step out in our powerful yes from that space of knowing, from that space of authenticity, the funny thing happens. We invite other people to do the same. And then it has this transformative effect, not only on ourselves, not only on our community, but the world. And so our yes becomes this birthplace of creativity, and our yes becomes the birthplace of transformation.